It's Thursday, the 19th of February. From the MEN newsroom, this is Channel M's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. Bosses at JJB Sports announce hundreds of job losses. Administrators are closing two of the chains owned by the firm. Also coming up, Save Our Services. Dozens of teenagers protest against cuts in Bury.
We want the council to invest in a youth service, not to make cutbacks.
And looking after your heart, campaigners warn thousands of people need to do more to think more about their health.
Take regular exercise, and that helps keep your blood pressure down, helps keep your weight down. In terms of diet, to take plenty of fruit and vegetables.
Good afternoon. First, give me your bike or I'll shoot you. That's the terrifying threat a vicar from Longsight had to face when she was confronted by robbers. Rev Tracie Charnock is now speaking out about her ordeal.
A youth approached me from an alleyway with his hands under his jacket, threatening to shoot me if I didn't hand my bike over. And I tried to reason with him. I explained that I need my bike for my work, I can't drive. And basically he didn't listen, he continued to threaten to shoot me. And then another youth came across the road and joined him again with his hands under his jacket. So at that point I thought it safer to hand my bike over.
And do you think this is going to make your job more difficult to do in the area?
Well, as I say, I think this is a wonderful area. I think it's a shame that a minority spoil it for everybody else. But there are so many good people of values around here, and I believe that in the end goodness does come through, so I take my faith from that.
More than 400 jobs are going in the lifestyle division of Wigan-based JJB Sports. Two of the shops it owns, the original shoe company and Cube, have been put into administration. 45 stores will close with immediate effect, with the loss of 438 staff. The administrator says both firms have been running at a substantial loss in extremely tough trading conditions. All the survivors from last night's North Sea helicopter crash have now arrived back on the mainland. 18 people were rescued from the sea after their Super Puma ditched 125 miles east of Aberdeen. It was heading towards a BP oil platform. Air accident investigators are now looking into what happened. New figures show more cannabis has been taken off the streets here in Greater Manchester than in any previous 12-month period. Plants with a street value of almost £9.5 million were seized from 226 drug factories, many of them houses. In total, Operation Dragonfly found 62,000 plants with heat-seeking equipment looking for kit used to grow them. Investigations are starting after a bruised baby boy was found dead at a house in the Kirkholt area of Rochdale. It's believed the one-year-old, whose lifeless body was discovered in his cot, had been known to social services before then. Here's Kevin Duffy.
Yes, thanks, James. Now, at this stage, the cause of this baby boy's death is not yet known because a Home Office post-mortem has been carried out, but that proved inconclusive and more tests are being done. We do know that the child was known to Rochdale Council's Social Services Department, and the council's Director of Children's Services, Terry Piggott, has today described the death as an absolute tragedy. But Mr. Piggott said he wouldn't comment further while an investigation was ongoing. The local MP, Paul Rowan, has also become involved. He has said that he is going to be asking questions of Rochdale Council also to find out what has happened here. Now, we understand that this situation started to emerge just after 11 o'clock on Sunday morning when a call was made to the emergency services and some advice about resuscitation was given down the phone by an ambulance paramedic. Subsequent to that, the child was taken to Rochdale Infirmary where it was declared dead. Now, Greater Manchester Police, as you'd expect, are involved. They're working with healthcare practitioners in Rochdale and liaising with Rochdale Council. And that pretty much is what's known at the moment. Back to you.
Thanks, Kevin. Around 100 teenagers brandishing placards have turned out to demonstrate against proposed cuts to council services in Bury. They vented their anger outside a meeting at the town hall. Nina Warhurst was there.
Who says the spirit of revolution is dead? The young people of Bury demonstrating as the council executive meets to discuss proposals to cut funding in youth services.
Tell me why these youth services are so important to young people.
These are so important because the younger generation, if the youth services are cut, they're going to lose out. There'll be more young people in the street. They'll be causing trouble. That's what we don't want. We want the council to invest in a youth service, not to make cutbacks. And we will fight for this youth service from today onwards, whether we are listened to or not.
Tamor says the Conservative-led council has refused his offer to meet, and as executive members arrived, they refused to give more details on the proposals, which opponents say could spell the end of 5 youth centres, school holiday clubs and 48 jobs.
Have you got any comment about the future of Bury Youth Services?
Sure, they're quite secure in our hands.
All Bury Council will say is that there is a proposal to cut £300,000 from the £1.5 million youth service budget. But young people here say not only is that bad enough, but that it represents the thin end of the wedge, that eventually all youth services will be outsourced, and as a result, young people across Bury will suffer.
Bury Youth Service has given me a lot over the years in terms of informal education, opportunities to go on team building exercises, given me a lot of social skills.
But why wouldn't that service be the same if it's externalised?
Because I believe that only a certain amount of young people will be able to access the service, in terms of if it goes to the voluntary sector, say Early Break for example, they deal with drug and alcohol issues among young people. If they were to take a contract, only certain young people who have drug and alcohol issues would access the service, and it's not fair to the other young people that just want to go into the youth club and play a game of pool or socialise with their friends.
But these young people won't find out until March whether they've succeeded in their bid to keep youth services exactly the way they are. But whatever the outcome, organisers here tonight say the fact that so many young people have turned out is a victory in itself.
A man's been charged with stabbing a 27-year-old in the neck in Gorton. The victim was found injured following reports of men fighting on Chapman Street early on Tuesday morning. Sean Durkin, of no fixed address, is accused of causing grievous bodily harm with intent and possessing an offensive weapon. He's due to appear before magistrates. Police have gone back to a street in Tameside where residents complained of gunfire last night. Officers were called to Mancunian Road in Horton Green just before 7:15 following reports of gunfire. A first-floor window had been damaged. 6 albino frogs and crested gecko tadpoles have been seized at Manchester Airport after being imported illegally. They were brought into the UK from America by a commercial importer who didn't have the right paperwork. Trade in geckos is regulated to protect the species, while bullfrogs are banned from the EU to protect native species. The Victim Support Service is campaigning to raise awareness of its work. They think too many people suffer because of criminals, but don't realise what help's available. They've been holding an event here in Greater Manchester to explain how they can get involved.
Victim Support is a national charity that provides emotional and practical support to victims of crime. We receive referrals on a daily basis from the police, other agencies and self-referrals of people that have been a victim of crime or are being a witness due to attend court. We deal with all types of crimes ranging from criminal damage, burglary, right through to domestic violence, rape and sexual assault and families bereaved by homicide. It could be practical support, it could be emotional support, it could be help with compensation, it could be security. Whatever they need, we will assess and look at whether we're the organisation to deliver that. Nationally, we receive just over 1.5 million referrals a year. Victim Support Week started on Monday, and it's just an opportunity for us to promote the organisation, promote the service, and just to let people know what we're about, what we do and how they can get in contact with us.
Time now to take a look at the lunchtime sports headlines, and here's Mike with details of how United moved 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League last night.
James, thank you. Fulham were at Old Trafford last night, the latest team to face a United side who had kept a clean sheet in their previous 13 games. Sam Goodman has your details.
Well, Manchester United maintain their winning streak in the Premier League after this victory over Fulham. The first goal came from a stunning trademark Paul Scholes volley, which keeper Mark Schwarzer failed to hold on to. United then increased their lead 18 minutes later. Paul Scholes' delightful chip through to John O'Shea, whose through ball eventually found its way to Berbatov after a mix-up in the Fulham defence. United then secured their victory midway through the second half. Patrice Evra's cross was met by Ji-sung Park, whose mishit shot found Wayne Rooney at the back post to fire into an empty goal, with the Reds once again keeping a clean sheet. It was United 3, Fulham 0.
And that result sees United move 5 points clear of Liverpool, 8 ahead of Aston Villa, with Chelsea trailing by 10, as United now face 8 games in the next 25 days. That includes a Champions League trip to Inter Milan, the Carling Cup final against Spurs and the league clash against Liverpool. In the third test, England remain in complete control after setting the West Indies an unlikely target of 503 to win. And at the close of play yesterday, the home side closed on 1-4-3 for 359 runs short of victory. Manchester Phoenix, they'll take a 3-goal lead into their Knockout Cup semi-final second leg against Newcastle at the Altrincham Ice Dome next week, following their 4-1 win last night. David Alexander Beauregard, Nathan Ward, Brett Cloutier and Leek Fulgham all on target for Tony Hand's men. The Phoenix are back in action in Altrincham on Sunday when they hosted the Basingstoke Bison. The Stockport Primary School's athletics finals have just been held, an event which showcases many of our region's top young athletes. So we sent our cameras along to take a look at some of the stars of the future.
We've got the Borough Sports Hall Athletics final. All the teams here, we've got 8 teams from across the borough. All the teams have won their final against other local primary schools, so they're representing their local primary schools in the borough final, and the winner of today's event will go through and represent Stockport at the Greater Manchester Mini Games. They get the opportunity to take part in different track events such as obstacle and over and under relay. They also get a chance to take part in throwing events like the chest push and the javelin, and they also do jumping events such as the vertical jump and the standing long jump. So they get a chance to take part in all of them, and they get a chance to work on skills like balance, coordination and agility.
In last night's Northern Rail Cup, Oldham ran in 10 tries against Rochdale, winning a one-sided tie 54-4. Former Salford City Reds winger Andy Ballard named man of the match after scoring 2 tries and kicking 7 goals. But there was bad news for Lee, who went down 10-6 at Featherstone. Bolton Wanderers, they'll be without Joey O'Brien for the next 8 weeks after the 23-year-old underwent knee surgery in Colorado yesterday. And Wigan boss Steve Bruce is expected to hand a short-term contract to South Korean international Won Hee-Chu after the central midfielder's trial at the club this week. That's it from me for now, but please try and join Sam Goodman, who'll be here at 5 o'clock looking ahead to City's big UEFA Cup tie in Copenhagen.
Mike, thank you very much for the update. Plenty more to come on the Lunchtime News, including a warning too many people aren't doing enough to cut their risk of heart disease, and the councils in our area told to do more to iron out the cracks in their pavements.
I mean, look, there's cracks on there, raised flags all over. I mean, if you're unsteady on your feet, then yeah, there's every possibility you're going to fall. Yeah, I mean, we pay enough council tax, don't we? They should be maintained.
Welcome back to Channel M's Lunchtime News. We've got all of today's main headlines for you every day between 12 and 1 o'clock. Don't forget as well, you can go online whenever you want to watch this programme again or see any of our other reports on there right now. People in Salford getting the chance to be judges for the day at a special court, and pictures from the launch of Manchester's Race for Life. That's at channelm.co.uk. Back now to one of our main headlines. 438 jobs are going in the lifestyle division of Wigan-based JJB Sports. 2 of its chains, the Original Shoe Company and Cube, have been put into administration. 45 stores, including branches in Ashton-under-Lyne, Bolton and Warrington, will close with immediate effect. The administrator says both firms have been running at a substantial loss in extremely tough trading conditions. Well, that's just the latest announcement of job losses that seems to happen daily. For one man who's lost his job, he's got so desperate and frustrated at being made redundant, he's now trying to sell his skills by the side of the road. Beverly Walkden's been to meet him.
Jason Frumey was made redundant almost 6 months ago now. He's desperate to find work to pay his mortgage.
I've probably got about 3 months funds left for my mortgage, and then I'm in dire straits. I'll be losing it.
So at 4:30 each morning, Jason will drive from his home in Bolton to stand at junction 9 on the M60 in the hope of attracting work. How long do you think you're going to have to do this for?
I will be doing this until I get a suitable position where I'm earning enough to pay my way, to pay my bills.
How has it made you feel standing here on the side of the road?
Pretty vulnerable and thinking whether I should be changing my career into another way and doing something else. Engineering is dead.
Jason says the job centres have little to offer him in terms of skilled work, and he's hoping that by standing here on the side of the road, on the outskirts of Trafford Industrial Park,
someone somewhere will give him a second chance to start earning a living again. Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
Train companies are being criticised for charging more to travel here than it costs in Europe. The pressure group Passenger Focus says fares for turning up on the day rather than pre-booking are much more expensive than on the continent. Their report found one ticket in Amsterdam was more than 3 times the cost of an equivalent journey here. We've been asking people how much value for money they get.
I don't think really that I get value for money because trains are sometimes too late or kind of can't get on because I come from Bolton and I pay £90 a month, and it just gets a bit ridiculous really when I can't get on the train to get to work in the mornings.
I think it's excellent value for money if the train isn't too full and you're not panicking to get off because it's so full. But other than that, I do well because I have a senior rail card.
We've just been on the train here. It's an absolute disaster. You've got like 50 people stood up. It's pretty much like that every day. It doesn't take much working out that they need to put a little bit more effort into it, you know. It's quite expensive as well, £4.70 I think for a return trip. So, you know, I don't feel like I feel that that's quite expensive, and obviously I don't know, they don't seem to be putting it back into the service.
A woman with MS has lost her legal fight to have the law on assisted suicide made clearer. Debbie Purdy from Bradford is considering going to a clinic in Switzerland to end her life, but is worried her husband will get charged when he returns to the UK. She'd gone to the appeal court to try to overturn a decision in the High Court made last October that said no further guidance was needed. The 45-year-old can no longer walk and says she's shocked and disappointed at the decision. The family of a man crushed to death by falling girders on Barton Bridge 50 years ago is promising to keep his memory alive. Mark McGarry from Collyhurst was killed in an accident during the construction of the bridge that takes the M60 over the Manchester Ship Canal. He had nothing but a cloth cap for protection, which led to calls for more safety measures at the time. His daughter Maria Lyons is marking today's anniversary with her 6 brothers and sisters. Campaigners are starting a push to get more of us to look after our hearts better. The British Heart Foundation estimates more than 1,800 people here in Greater Manchester died from heart disease last year. Here's Ben Bland.
Harry Martin from Gatley is 81 and enjoys spending time with his grandson. In 1993, he had a double heart bypass. Then, more recently, another operation on a valve in his heart. Both were done at Wythenshawe Hospital. And as Harry points out, looking after your heart needn't be difficult.
I've just been doing the exercises at home every day. And to me, that is the important thing. The exercising, the walking, and, you know, nothing sort of... I don't go about riding bicycles all over the place or whatever, but just having the general aerobic exercises, weights and one thing and another.
The British Heart Foundation estimates that in Greater Manchester last year, more than 1,800 people died prematurely because of heart disease. The highest number was in Manchester, where around 400 died, while Trafford and Bury had the lowest with 115 each. As a result, we're all being urged to take better care of our hearts.
A simple way to do that is to take regular exercise, and that helps keep your blood pressure down, helps keep your weight down. In terms of diet, to take plenty of fruit and vegetables, to avoid saturated fats if you can, and perhaps most of all, and most importantly, is not to smoke, and as far as possible to avoid second-hand smoke as well. And it's really a combination of relatively straightforward lifestyle issues that will make the big difference for the great majority of people.
Well, I'll try.
Yeah.
After seeing his granddad undergo heart surgery, that's a view echoed by Philip.
I've learnt that you need to avoid quite a few fatty foods. You have a balanced diet, 5 a day. Take lots of exercise, because my granddad goes walking a lot around his local area, and I sometimes go out with him in the holidays.
Wythenshawe Hospital is pioneering keyhole heart surgery techniques, and people were invited to hear more about it. Though the old medical maxim rings true, prevention is better than cure. Ben Bland, Channel M News.
Pressure is being put on some of Greater Manchester's councils to spend more money levelling out their pavements. 3 of our boroughs have been named as having some of the most uneven walkways, and campaigners now want something done about it, as Georgia Calvin-Smith has been finding out.
3 boroughs in Greater Manchester have appeared in amongst the top 5 of a list of the places in the northwest with the most perilous pavements. More than a third of the footways in parts of Greater Manchester need to be repaired, but those in Oldham, Bolton and Bury are the worst. Not only do broken paving stones look pretty bad, they're also dangerous because they increase the risk of falls, particularly for older people. Falls are one of the leading causes of death for the over 75s, and according to Help the Aged, almost 2,500 older people fall because of broken paving stones every day, and they're calling for councils to invest more money in making public walkways safer for those with mobility problems.
Just they're all uneven, they're all loose. I've tripped over twice and we've been in Bury a couple of hours. So they need addressing.
Because it's public safety. It's just as much as if a big hole appeared in the road, they'd have to fix it pretty quickly, hopefully. It's the same on the pavement, is that people need to be able to walk safely. So yeah, I think it's a priority.
I mean, look, there's cracks on there, raised flags all over. I mean, if you're unsteady on your feet, then yeah, there's every possibility you're going to fall. Yeah, we pay enough council tax, don't we? They should be maintained.
Help the Aged has acknowledged that councils can sometimes face difficulties in allocating enough money to deal with repairs. But well-maintained pavements could not only save local authorities cash paid out in compensation for accidents, but also improve the confidence and quality of life of those most likely to slip between the cracks. Georgia Calvin-Smith, Channel M News.
There was success for Greater Manchester at the Brits last night. Cult guitar group Elbow got a standing ovation as they were named Best British Group. They said it was really special to get the prize. Duffy was the big winner of the night, taking 3 awards for Best Female Soloist, Best British Breakthrough Act and Best British Album. Coldplay lost out the most, though, missing all 4 awards that they were up for. Let's take a look at the weather now with the forecast. Here's Michelle Eagleton.
Have seen a few showers across Greater Manchester this morning, and they are going to continue into this afternoon. I'm afraid not the best of days for you for your Thursday, so you are going to have to wrap up nice and warm. Temperatures highs of 7 degrees, so a lot colder than it has been the past couple of days. Pretty chilly as well, because there has been a breeze creeping in from the easterly direction and really has been plaguing us this morning, and as well this afternoon it seems to be exactly the same. But as we go through the afternoon, you are going to see a couple of the showers die off, possibly about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, and then later on this evening, unfortunately, they are on their way back. Not going to stop with us too long, though, because I do know over the next few days it's looking very, very promising indeed. In fact, if we're taking a look at the 5-day forecast, I can tell you that Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, no sign of the rain at all. In fact, Friday and Saturday, we are going to see some outbursts of sunshine, so great news, and staying dry on Sunday and Monday as well.
You're watching Channel M's Lunchtime News. These are Thursday's top stories. A vicar from Longsight's been threatened by 2 men who threatened to shoot her as she walked home from church in Longsight. Rev Tracie Charnock was with another volunteer when she says she was told to hand over her bike. Police are calling what happened unacceptable and disgraceful. More than 400 jobs are going at 2 shops owned by Wigan-based JJB Sports. The original shoe company and Cube have been put into administration and will close with immediate effect. All 18 people who were rescued from a helicopter crash off the North Sea last night are said to be in good spirits. They were plucked from the water after plunging into it east of Aberdeen on their way to an oil platform. We'll have more on all those stories in our early evening news later. That's with Andy Crane from 5. But from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a very good afternoon. Bye-bye for now.